Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll talk about the network specialty series. So it's going to be a series of videos working towards certification to achieve AWS Network Specialty. First step, today we're going to review like what is the exam guide provided by AWS, what would be the categories of domains we need to focus on, what are the services that will be come under the scope, and how can we target and achieve a proper study plan. So that's going to be the today's goal. So the one which I took from the internet is the ANSC01. That's the as of today the current study guide from the AWS website. And if you see, it consists of like multiple sections over it. So one in terms of what it's going to be validated. The next one is going to be the target candidate. So my general advice, if you don't have any hands-on experience or any real-time part in terms of the work-wise, because in generic, most of the candidate guide, it talks about the experience, right? So it says like 5 or more years experience or the cloud and network experience. So you don't need to take a step back just for the reason of the mentioned prerequisite experience provided in the study guide. We can just skip them. Don't worry. All we need to focus on like what is the domain area they are going to be tested you, and what are the services we need to focus on. Being said, so if you see, it's going to be tested on the two types of questions that are going to be there. One is in terms of multi-choice and multi-response. So when we say multi-choice, it's going to be like provided like 4 response, and you want to choose one correct answer, right? So the best practice to follow such kind of scenario is that either you can know the accurate answer, or you can go with eliminate based approach. So you know for sure this option is not been listed or like not accurate or not accurate most, then you would just eliminate and go with the left out precise answer and you choose the best out of it. The another one is going to be the multi-response, which is like you have A, B, C, D, then more than it can be the right answer. So it can be like A and C or C and D. So one thing to achieve is that check what they are trying to queue for. Are they looking for like which among the option or which among the not? So those kind of keywords like a not or those kind of stuff will make a huge difference in terms of taking the approach. And so if you see, it's going to consist of like 50 questions. And among 50 questions, I mentioned 15 is going to be unscored. So even though you're attempting for 50 questions, the AWS is going to evaluate you for only 15. Like 15 is going to be like unmarked questions, which means either you mark it right or wrong. It's not going to be considered for the score. And if you see, the 750 is the pass mark, and they're going to evaluate you from 100 to 1000 pass marks. It's strange that they don't say like 0 to 1000. I'm not sure, like, are they giving you like 100 as a default credit point just for appearing in the exam, right? So that's more about like how the pattern of the exam and how they are going to evaluate. And if you see, they're going to evaluate you in terms of 4 domains. And these 4 domains is going to be the key differentiation factor. So one in terms of, since it's a network specialty, they're going to design you on like how are you going to design your network. That's going to weigh like 30% of the questions. Let's say if 100 questions are appearing, then 30% is going to be from network design. The network implementation of like how we are going to implement the part. It can be like a manual automation or any approach, those aspect. And network management and operation, and network security, compliance, and governance. So these are the 4 domains you are going to be get evaluated on. And 4 major domain categories the AWS is going to test this on. Here, if you see in terms of the further guide, if you scroll down or like more deep into it, they give you like clear by task wise. So which means when we say like network design, they mention like what knowledge you would be needed in terms of prerequisite, and also they give you like the definition part also for each task. So from domain one, they categorize like you see here like a design a DNS solution and part. So if you see each by each guide, they would have given you in terms of like this is specific task you want to do, and these are the skill set. And then the same way it goes for the network implementation, and then they're given you that this is the task definition you would do, and what are the knowledges that are required for it, and what are the skills you would be gained through this goes on. So if you are a someone who is especially looking for a career opportunity, and if you don't have any scope in terms of or like you don't have budget in terms of appearing for an exam, you can still take this as an study guide and then keep building your resume. For example, let's say this is you're going to task, right? Implement routing and connectivity across multiple AWS accounts, regions, VPCs to support different connectivity patterns. And then they mentioned you in terms of once you learn how to do it, you're going to get all these knowledges and all these skills. So the beginner mistake would be that whenever they prepare a resume, they just mention like a VPC as a skill set in generic word, DNS output with a generic keyword. But once you try to practice this specific study guide, you know what you learn to implement and what are the knowledges you gained and what are the skills that you achieved by going through this specific task itself. So rather you wait till completion of the certificate, you can still go through the material curriculum as you keep doing. on day 1, day 2, day 3. You keep update your resume as well, so that a higher chance you soon land in your dream and dedicated job. So I'm not going to waste you in terms of reading all those domains and the individual task. I will leave you the link of the study guide, which is provided by the AWS itself in the video description. Further, if you deep into it, AWS comes with a more innovative and multiple functionalities each and every day. And talking about network, it's almost linked with all the services, right? So even recently they launched three database tables and more on. So how can we structurize what services are scoped and what are out of scope? So if you still navigate into it, they've given you the specific list of part. What are the services which you will be like tested on, and what are the futures as well? So because for example, let's say S3 can be a specific service, and day by day, the more services or futures get expanded to specific services, right? So that's why they just don't say what services, but also they mention you about what futures of the specific service you will be tested on. So likewise, if you talk in terms of they categorize you based on the service nature as well, the compute services, container services, cost optimization, and so on. And what you can do is you try to map the services with the previous pages defined, right? The task. So this is a task we're going to achieve. So for example, we would have seen Route 53, where it has been mentioned, let's say networking. Yeah, so here if you see Route 53, then in the previous task we have seen in terms of DNS management, right? So by default, the DNS management is going to link with this Route 53. So try to connect the services with the task definition they have provided. That can simplify you more and more easiness in terms of preparing part. And also as you cover the one, you can make a checklist. Okay, I've done control tower, I've done help dashboard, I've done AWS organizations, and more on. So this would be the generic guide I would be following or taking as a first step in terms of knowing what are in scope. They also provided you like what are out of scope services as well, which means you can feel free to ignore, or like you don't need to worry about those services. For example, AWS Glue, EMR, QuickSight, Redshift. So though there can be the network component involved, as part of this specific curriculum, they're not going to get you tested on those patterns. So if your target is to get prepared for certification, you don't need to much worry about this services and features, and just stick to the services you're going to get tested on. There are two different approaches you can take in terms of exam preparation itself. So the approach one is to go task by task. So which means you're going to start with like 1.1 under domain, and then you see like what is being listed, what you're going to be tested on, and then you take that approach of like solving from 1.1 and completing the curriculum. The another approach is choose a service. Let's say Route 53, I want to learn, and then you might be interested in CloudWatch, right? So you choose a service and then try to come up with the task that is associated with the service, and then you can pick that for a day. The best approach I would do is I take a quick approach, which is I start with services, because I might be interested in learning Lambda today or want to learn Route 53, so that daily you learn, you have the versatility, not sticking with the flow, right? So you get a taste based on your mood, and since you have like vast option, higher chance you make a progress day by day, rather you get stuck at one specific place. So once you cover all the services listed, then you can again go through the list of tasks to ensure that you covered all the curriculum part 100% and nothing is being missed out. Okay, so that's the generic study plan which I take up for any certificate preparation. That's how I cleared like 6 cross certified in AWS. If we able to achieve this, this will be the seventh one. Okay, we'll be creating a series of videos as I make progress on the network specialty certificate. So if you want to join the journey, do ensure to subscribe our channel and stay tuned. Thanks.